Hello and welcome to A Bettor Morning, presented by Rival Fantasy. I'm Heather Klein. Rival Fantasy is the all-in-one fantasy sports platform. Let's welcome today's panel. Fantasy Alarm lead NFL analyst and host of Fantasy Fiasco, Andrew Coop Cooper. Award-winning host, the Fantasy Exec, Corey Parson. Host of Her Story in the Making, Britt's Fantasy Blitz, and co-host of Lightning Round, Britt Flynn. Welcome, everybody, and happy Friday to you.
Morning, guys. Happy Friday, Heather.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Happy Friday. We got Crunch Time Baseball. NASCAR's at Daytona. We got last week of preseason football. Sports are just heating up, baby. It's time.
Fall
It's
is
an
the best time.
time of the year.
That's right.
Yes. Well, let's get to it, guys. The Denver Broncos will be without their receiver, Jerry Jeudy, for their season opener against the Las Vegas Raiders. Jeudy will be out several weeks with a hamstring injury he sustained in yesterday's joint practice, yesterday against the Rams. It's uncertain when he will return to the Broncos sideline. Coop, does this injury affect his fantasy football value, and how do you think the team will fare without him?
I mean, it absolutely affects his value. These soft tissue injuries are big time killers. I mean, there's a ton of uncertainty when it comes to these timelines. They always just kind of give us a general idea, but we're talking about, your hamstring is a bundle of multiple different muscles. And we've seen guys come back the first week, and we've seen guys like Keenan Allen last year with his soft tissue, where they said he was going to be back every week. He missed half the season. So in this particular instance, I'm putting the yellow tape around this guy, especially on formats like Underdog, where ADP doesn't update for a while. So for a guy like Jerry Jeudy, I'm moving him down, and it makes it a lot easier for me to draft Cortland Sutton, who I was already drafting, and it makes it a lot easier for us to draft Greg Dulcich, who I'm sure Britt is going to tell us all about because she wrote the foremost article on Greg Dulcich already over on fantasyalarm.com.
Yeah, I've been about Greg Dulcich for a while, but not just because of injury. This injury does help him, but I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, like you said, Coop, soft tissue injuries are nothing to play around with. And Jeudy has kind of been plagued with injuries since he entered the league. Even hearing that he was carted off knocked him all the way down to the 6th or 7th round in some drafts yesterday, just with that immediate reaction. And depending on the results of the MRI, he could fall even further. The several weeks were just a baseline measurement, and if it is more severe, he's going to fall off dramatically. This does open the door for Cortland Sutton, like you said, to step up, as well as Greg Dulcich, who Sean Payton has constantly mentioned as being in the Joker role that he loves to play in his offense. So I think that you actually see those two shoot up in ADP quite a bit over the next 2 weeks. Hopefully it's nothing serious for Jeudy, but it's not looking good.
This guy, he need a new location to play football at because it's not getting done with the Denver Broncos. Jerry Jeudy, coming out of college, was a generational wide receiver talent. We've seen flashes of that in Denver, but for the most part, we've seen disappointment. Like, I can't remember saying over the past 3 years, oh, man, I feel great that I got Jerry Jeudy in my lineup, and it's not going to happen again this year. Listen, to me, if I go to Denver, I'm going to get Javonte Williams, probably that tight end Britt was talking about. But it's just nothing there for me anymore. I want to see Jeudy in a new place, getting it done. Unfortunately, it's not working in the Mile High City.
Hey, you make a good point. Coming out, Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb were kind of 1A and 1B to me. And recently, in both production and the way we handle them in drafts and the way we think about them, CeeDee Lamb has really separated himself. But you have to wonder that if maybe they just went to different teams and Jerry Jeudy got to play with high-flying Cowboys and, Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott, and and CeeDee Lamb was stuck over with, Drew Lock and Nathaniel Hackett and this whole gang, maybe we would be looking at these two guys differently.
Yeah, it makes a good point. I think it's a time for a change of scenery.
Yeah, and you wonder, I think, how much this depth of the Broncos wide receiver room is going to affect their production as well with Cortland Sutton. If there's nobody else out there on the field for defensive backs to kind of cover, how much double coverage is he going to see? How inefficient is this offense going to be just because of lack of depth in that wide receiver room, depending on how long Jeudy's out? I believe Better Boss in the chat said that Denver will sign a veteran wide receiver. And at this point, it almost seems like they have to. There's just no depth on that team at all.
They need to go get T.O.
He always looks like he's ready to rock and roll.
For real.
I
give him a shot. You know what I'm saying? A 50-year-old T.O. out there running around.
I'll tell you what. The three of us just all saw Des Bryant, man. He looked like he could still throw down too.
Yeah, there you go.
But if they don't sign somebody, the name to look for me is Marvin Mims. Rookie Marvin Mims already worked his way out there. He was out there in 3 wide receiver sets. Tim Patrick's out. If it's going to be just him and him and Cortland Sutton and Marquez Callaway and whoever, Marvin Mims kind of interesting.
Jordan Humphrey.
Little Jordan, what a name, right?
That's
the best part about
name.
that is that it makes you think he's not very big, but Lil Jordan Humphrey is actually humongous.
Hey, and then what's up with T.Y. Hilton? They might be able to check into the T.Y. Hilton for a couple of weeks, but shaking their head like it's over.
No, he's retired. He's retired.
150-yard catch, walk off in the sunset. That's his move, right? He's like the new Deshaun Jackson. Yeah, T.Y. So I saw in a preseason game, there's a defensive player now. I forget what team, but his name's T.Y. too, and he got a sack and he's out there doing the T.Y. So it lives on, baby. It lives on.
There you go. Shout out to T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah. You know what the TY stands for, by the way?
No, I don't.
So his real name is Eugene Marquise.
Yeah.
Eugene
Marquise Hilton.
Eugene Marquise Hilton. TY is a nickname because his father, Tyrone, was the coach of all the kids growing up. And Antonio Brown was actually on his team growing up too. And everybody, because he was Coach Tyrone, everybody just called him Tyrone's youngin.
25%. So T.Y. Hilton's from that area in South Florida.
Yes.
At one point, 25% of the players in the NFL were from a 16-mile radius in South Florida. That's crazy.
Yeah, that area is nuts, man. And Antonio Brown was supposed to go to Florida International with T.Y., but Antonio Brown got kicked out before the season even started.
It's a lot of Antonio Brown had a wild childhood. I got an Antonio Brown story coming up though. Britt will love it.
Oh God, can't wait.
Let's go.
We're here to get you ready for your fantasy football draft. Start a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription and get the Fantasy Football Draft Guide and Cheat Sheet free. We are officially 16 days from a Raider Nation kickoff. Vegas GM Dave Ziegler spoke with the media yesterday and said there are no new developments for a potential deal with Josh Jacobs. According to Vic of The Athletic, there were exploratory calls made by the Miami Dolphins on whether the Raiders are interested in trading Jacobs. Britt, do you think Jacobs will be suited up and on the field come week 1 against the Broncos? And how do you approach drafting him in fantasy football?
Oh, get in the game. Put your earmuffs on for this one. In this market, Josh Jacobs should be suited up, but will he be? And I honestly don't know. We keep getting mixed signals in the media about whether or not he's going to report. And at this point, I'm just out on him. I'm tired of the whole thing. Not only do you have the holdout issue still looming, but I don't think that the Raiders are going to have a good season. I think people are enamored with the return on ADP that they got from Josh Jacobs last year, but the entire offensive line on the Raiders is a huge question mark. Jimmy G is a question mark. And in addition to the lack of experience on the offensive line, Jacobs only faced a stacked box at the 17th highest rate in the league last year. And I think that number goes way up this year when opposing defenses don't have to respect Jimmy Garoppolo. Wow. Jacobs' ADP is way too high with all the uncertainty, and I don't think I'm going to have any shares of him.
It's my turn. Josh Jacobs will be there for week 1, and he'll be there because Le'Veon Bell already told him dudes don't miss no paychecks. So Josh Bell is probably in Alabama or somewhere right now, practicing, getting ready for the season. You don't got to worry about him tripping over a 4th-string offensive lineman and tearing his ACL. He'd be there. When it's time for that week 1 check to cut, Josh Jacobs is going to walk into that facility, get that bag. So I'm not even tripping off of him being there week 1. Now, I am much more optimistic on the Raiders' upcoming season than most. So I'm drafting Josh Jacobs. I'm buying the dip in ADP. If you start with a lot of wide receivers, you want to do the 0 running back thing, Josh Jacobs is going to fall in line of these weekend drafts. So I'm in on Josh Jacobs. See, one thing about that offense, they're going to run the football. And he's the best option to do it. He's going to tote the rock. And as far as facing stacked boxes, I mean, this Jimmy Garoppolo thing, it baffles me. Like, the dude has been to 2 NFC championship games in the Super Bowl, and people act like you just picked him up out the trash. Jimmy Garoppolo will have the respect of the passing game. You know what I'm saying? Your man, Devontae Adams, had 180 targets last year. He had 100 receptions. Jimmy Garoppolo will do a better job than that. Britt doesn't think so.
Well, I truly hate to say it, but I agree with Corey Parson. With Josh Jacobs, there's a possibility he holds out, but it's fairly rare to see a Le'Veon Bell or even a Melvin Gordon where they hold out half the season. What's even more rare, though, is to find an actual 3-down bell cow back in the NFL these days. And that's the role that Josh Jacobs earned, and that's the role that they're going to be paying him to play. I mean, the reality is, even though these guys think they should be paid more, $11 million is a lot of money, and it's a lot of money for a running back. So if he's going to play on that contract or on any other contract, he's going to be expected to tote the rock, man. So I'm drafting guys like once I get to a certain part of the draft where there are no more 3-down backs, I have no choice but to take Josh Jacobs. So in the where he goes right now in the 3rd round of my drafts, I'm still taking him. And I'll bite the bullet if he doesn't play, because enough of these running backs, honestly, are coming off injury. They're splitting carries, and they're in general just going to get hurt because that's what happens at running back. So I might as well take a shot on the upside rather than committing myself to somebody that I know is going to split carries.
Josh Jacobs had one good season, and now everybody's thinking that he's like the bell cow and he's the dude, and not even taking into account all these other factors on this team. I mean, we talk about it all the time, not living in the past of last year's fantasy production. So why are we doing that with Josh Jacobs?
Because I tell you why, Britt. Because he was in a different offense last year than at any other time in his career, and they committed to giving him the football. That offense they're going to run the ball, and he's going to be the guy. See, that's the reason why I think last year was such a outlier, was because of the fact that he got with a group with. They run the ball. That's what Josh McDaniels do. And I think he's going to do that again this year. To be honest with you, I think they're happy he's not there.
But are they going to expect the run, though?
He has 1,000 yards rushing 3 out of 4 years, back-to-back 50 reception seasons, and he averages 10 touchdowns a season. He's played 4 years. He has 40 touchdowns. I mean, there's a lot to like about Josh Jacobs, no?
Hey, Britt, you would take, if you were on the clock this weekend, you would take Ramondre Stevenson over Josh Jacobs?
That's not part of the deal. I won't take anybody in that range. I'll already have my anchor and attack wide receiver, and I'm not going to deal with any of those bums in the 2nd or 3rd.
Britt not fighting your straw man, Corey.
so Britt, but I feel like when you do that, you lock yourself into RB out the gate. You know what I'm saying? What if the draft throws you a curveball?
I don't lock myself into anything. I'm fluid. I've got a plan.
Britt's got the Anchor RB article on fantasyalarm.com if you want to draft one running back and then wait a little bit and take another one.
I want to ask Britt some more ADP questions about Josh Jacobs. Do we have time for that? Yeah, Najee or Josh Jacobs?
Najee.
Okay, I would agree with you on that one right there.
She's already in on Gibbs over Jacobs.
Gibbs over Jacobs?
Yep.
ETN over Jacobs?
No.
Okay. All right.
Joe Mixon.
No. Just out of principle.
Jacobs over Joe Mixon.
I can dig that. Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones over Jacobs all day.
Miles Sanders.
Yes.
Wow, you're going pretty deep. Okay.
You got Jacobs.
That's why I'm saying you've got so much value there that I'm not going to worry about anything or anybody with concerns. I'm going to take these guys who are still in a bell cow role that are going 2 or 3 rounds later. See, I got it.
Right, okay, listen.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, not Tony Pollard. Of course, Tony Pollard. Pollard easily.
Yeah. Settle down in the chat, everybody. That's my alarm that says settle down in the chat.
Trying to wake up.
Alarm says tell the chat.
Oh Lord, look at this. Look at this right here.
Wake up, Coop.
Yeah,
Wake up, Coop.
I
look
love
at
Although
it.
the New York
look at these two. Mm-hmm.
Goons.
Although the New York Yankees broke their 9-game losing streak Wednesday, which tied the franchise's longest since 1982, last night they lost again to the 59-69 Washington Nationals. There are rumors that manager Aaron Boone will be relieved from his duties. Although his contract expires at the end of next year, is it time for the Bronx Bombers to cut their losses and find some fresh blood to get them on the winning side next season? Corey, I know you have a lot to say about this.
I actually don't
You're
have
up.
I actually don't have a lot to say about this. This guy, Aaron Boone, was never the right man for the job anyway. Has not been able to get it done. It's going on, we're getting up to that 15, 16-year range. New York Yankees, too big to fail. You know what I'm saying? This right in a sport with no salary cap, the New York Yankees should be able to pull this off and be a contender every year. And now you let poverty franchises like the Baltimore Orioles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, might as well be for all I care, come in here and take over the AL East. Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone, and the players on the roster. You all need to be ashamed of yourself for taking this great baseball team and this great baseball city and putting out this terrible product this year. Now, your general manager has been there for a quarter of a century. That's a long time. But before you run Son out, who are you going to bring in there? You got to think about that as well. Like, you can't just bring somebody up out the minor leagues to be the Yankee general manager. It's got to be somebody with a track record who's been successful, who can put together championship rosters. If that guy is out there, go ahead and do the deal. But let's not be so quick to get Cashman out of town. But you definitely got to get Aaron Boone out that joint. I want to go to another ticker tape parade.
I'll tell you, I mean, the Yankees, to put in perspective for people who haven't been paying attention, they lost 9 straight games recently in the middle of their getting swept by the rival Red Sox in the real town of titles.
Wow.
They have not done that. They have not lost 9 straight since 1982. That's like 40 years ago. And if they had lost one more, luckily, Aaron Judge hit 3 bombs and just won the game by himself. If they had lost 10 in a row, that would have been the first time since 1913. So this team historically poor this year. Obviously, any other team in that situation fires the coach, but I got to ask, why is Brian Cashman, why does he have like a lifetime contract? If he's the one putting these teams together with an unlimited payroll, with all the creativity and the freedom in the world, why is he untouchable? So I get what Corey's saying. You got to find the other guy, but maybe it is time to find the other guy because you look around. If any other franchise gave Giancarlo Stanton that contract, their franchise would be ruined. So just the fact that they're the Yankees allows for those mistakes, but maybe it is time to start looking around.
Yeah, I've never been to New York, but I've met enough people who are from New York to know that they are a proud bunch and they are not going to tolerate losing. The pitchforks are coming out if they're not already out. The Yankees have made it to the postseason for the past 6 years in a row, but admittedly, much like the Dallas Cowboys, it doesn't matter if you can't get over the hump and make it to the World Series. I think Boone was already on thin ice because fans got tired of losing in the postseason. Now not even making it is going to be the final straw. Thank you for your service, Boone, but it's time for somebody new.
And Better Boss asked in the chat, is it bad for baseball when the Yankees are bad? Of course it is. Awful.
Who's going to watch the World Series?
It's terrible. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
If
you want to see the Rays play the Dodgers?
Listen to what Chris Collinsworth just said the other day.
Yep.
You guys see his comments? He said if it were up to NBC, the Dallas Cowboys would be on Sunday Night Football every single night. There's certain teams that just have bigger fan bases, and a lot of it is because the marketing in the past, the way they've established the marketing, right? Like the Cowboys are America's team. Every person that visits America from another country, even briefly, is just handed a Yankees hat. Like that's how it goes. I mean, look, they sucked Corey Parson in, right? Like so. These are truly though America's teams, and they have giant media marketplaces. Of course, you want these teams to be good. Even as a Red Sox fan, I look at it and I quietly root for the Yankees to be good, so that it'll be more fun. It's funny when they're bad, but it's more fun when they're good.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And yeah, Yankees Dodgers MLB dream,
right?
Historic rivalry.
the best case scenario, both the Yankees and the Red Sox are good, and that makes for the best baseball.
Hey, do remember when we started the show? We was talking every day about the Cincinnati Reds. Is that still a thing?
No, I have no idea, honestly.
Actually,
I have no clue.
One of my bet of the day picks was going to be on the Reds, but since college football starts tomorrow, I switched it over to college football. But yeah, I'm still talking about the Reds.
Week 0, baby.
Are they going into the playoffs? They still like people still bet on the Reds to win. We still doing a 30 for 30 on the 2023 Reds.
more like a 50-50. Yeah, okay. I think that's what their record is these days.
That's a good one, Coop.
Now it's time for Dealer's Choice. Give us your best bet. It can be on any topic and any sport. Britt, what do you have for us today?
So, like I said, I was going to take the Reds money line at plus 135 against the Diamondbacks. We can skip that because college football does start tomorrow, and it's just a little more fun to bet on the start of the season. So getting ready for college football, I'm going to take San Jose State at plus 30.5 against USC at negative 108 odds. The line for USC actually opened at 38.5 and has fallen to 30.5. So I like the odds and the shift here. I think San Jose State gets enough garbage points to close the gap during the second half while USC rests their starters. I also like the odds for first touchdown scorer to be Dorian Singer at plus 390. I usually don't play the first touchdown scorer, but Singer has been dominant. He averaged 16.7 yards per catch on a pretty bad Arizona team, and now he gets to work with Caleb Williams. So sign me up for that plus 390.
Yeah, fully capped. There's a lot of ways to play that game, huh? I'm going back to preseason football. I know it's dumb and it's a sucker bet, but sometimes these don't have to be that hard. Like last night, I laid $100 on the Steelers. The Steelers are playing their starters. The Falcons weren't. I just bet the first quarter, and the Steelers were up 17-0 pretty quickly there. Tonight, with this Lions-Panthers game, the Lions supposedly are going to be resting all their starters, and that should include Jahmyr Gibbs and obviously Jameis Williams is out, but like these rookies. Whereas the Panthers are just going to run their guys out there. So right now, I've got a little money on the Panthers getting 4.5 for the total game. But once the first quarter lines come out, I'm just going to put money on the Panthers with their starters versus the backups for the Lions.
Yeah. Hopefully, Frank Wright don't get the quarterback hurt this week because it seemed like he tried to. You don't want him to make the start of the season. I'm going to go the South Carolina State play this week. MEAC SWAC Challenge on ABC on Sunday night. And when the MEAC and the SWAC plays, the SWAC team is always the favorite. And the MEAC team always win the game. So take South Carolina State on the money line. That'd be the bet right there. And then we go back to our discussion from earlier this season about players podcasting. It's coming. It's coming, Britt. I just read that Antonio Brown will be joining Cam and Mace on It Is What It Is for the football season. So,
oh no!
Yeah, so Antonio, so Antonio Brown analysis is coming our way, Britt.
That better not be live.
Man. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They better have like some delay on that broadcast because we don't want to see no eggplants on the screen.
No, let's not do that.
I'll tell you though, we don't need any more basketball podcasts, man. Paul George already perfected it. He's the man.
Yeah, now when he retires, he's going to go to a broadcast booth.
You think so, man?
Yeah, he's very good.
He could just
keep doing it, but they'll throw some big money at him.
Yeah, the big money. Yeah, but I mean, he could go the Pat McAfee route and just say, "Hey, I got my own thing, and if you want it, it's big money."
It makes sense too.
Yeah, because he crushes too.
All right, have a good weekend, everybody.
That was today's edition of A Bettor Morning. Corey, take it from here. No, thank you to Corey, Britt, and Coop. No, please. Stream. I love it. Up next is the debut of Sportstopia Fire and Ice with Drew Silva and Chris Crawford. Then it's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry at 10 a.m. Eastern. And if you missed any of our shows, you can find them all on our YouTube channel and at bettersports.com. We wish everyone a better weekend. Thanks, guys.